There's a minhag, it actually might even be a halacha, that on Purim day itself, we begin to learn the laws of Pesach. We take a little bit of time, learn a couple of the halachot of how to prepare for the matzah, how to bake the matzah, how to get your seder ready, some kind of Pesach halachot, because we have a principle that 30 days before the holiday, especially the holiday of Pesach, where there are so many halachot, so many detailed halachot of kashrut and hechsherim and matzahs and the seder and Yom Tov and Chol HaMoed, there's so much to learn. So the halacha is 30 days before, you're supposed to start learning the halachot of the holiday, especially Pesach. So according to many opinions, that 30 days is going to begin on Purim itself. That Purim day, we're starting the process towards Pesach. So in this Torah, I actually don't want to speak about the halachot of Pesach, but rather the hashkafot of Pesach, a little bit of the philosophy of Pesach, but really how it relates to the philosophy of Purim. That really Purim and Pesach have a deep connection to each other. And I saw some of these ideas in Rabbi Akiva Tatz's Living Inspired. He has a section at the very end on Mashiach and redemption, where he actually connects, because there's a redemption, there's a Geulah of Pesach, and there's a Geulah of Purim, and on the surface they look very different, but they're deeply, deeply connected. We said once in the past in Halakha class at Bar Ilan, we spoke about Mishinichnas Adar Marbim B'Simcha. When the month of Adar comes in, we have to increase Simcha, and the poskim discuss for how long do you have to have Simcha for? So many of the opinions say that the Simcha of Purim, of Adar, actually extends itself through the month of Nisan, because the month of Nisan is the month of Geulah, of redemption. So we're going to take our Purim redemption and our Pesach redemption, and halachically they say, extend the Simcha. Now some of the Hasidim are going to extend the Simcha all the way until Av, but in a simple halachic approach, the Simcha of Purim and the Simcha of the whole month of Adar and the Simcha of the month of Nisan do have this intermixing even in halakha. But let's speak a little bit about Hashkafa. So says Rabbi Tatz, unbelievable stuff. He says, when it comes to the redemption, when it comes to the Geulah, when it comes to the revelation of the Mashiach, he says, Chazal tell us, the Gemara tells us that it's hidden. You're not going to know. We're never going to be able to know exactly when Mashiach is going to come. As much as we try to predict, it's not there. The messianic time, it remains hidden. It remains hidden until right before. And at times, it's going to seem like it's going to be so far away. It's going to seem like it's so dark. It says, Dafka in that greatest darkness, Dafka in the most difficult time, at that moment, all of a sudden, it's going to sprout forth. And we actually talk about Et Semach David Avdecha Tatzmiach, when the Davidic line, when the Mashiach is going to sprout forth. So we use the language of sprouting forth. We use the language of flowers, because we know how does it work with flowers. It's the famous mashal. You have yourself the seed. You have the seed that has all the genetic material of the flower, but it's only when you put it in the ground. It's kind of like you're killing it. You're burying it in the ground. But then all of a sudden it decomposes. And then Tchiyat HaMetim. When you think that seed is really disintegrating, at that point a new shoot comes out, a brand new plant. Tchiyat HaMetim says that's a mashal for the whole messianic, the whole Mashiach time period, that we're going to have darkness that ultimately is going to become a great light. And he says though, but if you look closer at the Torah, there are times in Jewish history where we actually have a great light. And he compares Pesach to this great light. When we left, literally we're leaving in the full moon, and then we say, no, we're then going to wait for the full moon until the sun rises. We're going to go in the full light. But we have this concept of great light when it comes to leaving Egypt, even though right before we had a terrible, terrible slavery. We had darkness and more darkness and more darkness. Although when we get to the actual Makkah of darkness, which we said once in the past, the last 3 Makot are all in the night, are all in the darkness. But there is an opinion that says that the Makkah of darkness was actually light for the Jewish people. It was a great, great light for everybody that blinded the Egyptians, but for us we could see clearly. But there is this idea that before before we have the revelation, we're going to have a lot of dark and a lot of difficulty. And that's why when you think, oh, it's so far away, it's so dark. Oh, but no, when it gets so dark, then when you get light, that light is even more powerful. And he says that's an idea we find also when it comes to Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu at his deathbed, he wanted to reveal to them, it says, Bikesh legalot lahem et haketz. He wanted to tell them, when is Mashiach coming? Now some say, simple interpretation is, what day is it going to come? He wanted to reveal the date. And he's about to reveal the date to them, and then Hashem takes away the revelation, takes away the nevuah, takes away the prophecy, and all of a sudden he gets very nervous. He doesn't know what it's going to be. And that's when they reassure him and they say, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. They say, Abba, we still have emunah, we still believe, don't worry. But some say he's not only trying to reveal the date, he's trying to reveal them the exact mechanism. How are we going to bring Mashiach? What's the path that's going to get us forward towards it? But even that, he says, Rabbi Tatz, has to remain hidden. That's not how it works. We can't fully understand all the mechanisms, all the steps along the way. We can't understand, looking straight ahead, how Mashiach is going to come. And if we see the great level of darkness, that actually might even be a bigger hint that we're getting there. And that's part of the lesson of Yaakov Avinu. You want to know and understand how we're going to get there on the step-by-step process. you can't. There's a certain level of hiddenness, a certain level of scariness that's going to take place, a certain level of you have to just have that emunah and belief in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's why the brothers are telling him, the sons are telling him, Abba, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. We believe. It's good. We're united. We're with each other, and we understand that that we're going to have doubt, and there's going to be difficulty and scariness, but that's part of the process. And Rabbi Tatz goes on to give a couple of examples of, even the idea of the Mashiach himself, David HaMelech. David HaMelech is going to come from really weird lineage. He's going to come from Ruth HaMoaviyah, from the Moabite nation, which it's even a question, can you even come from a Moabite, And it has to be a whole halachic discussion because you're not allowed to marry into the Moabites, but that's only the men. He comes from the women, and we have to go through this whole long process. But he says all sides of David HaMelech, the whole story of where his lineage comes from. It's Lot being with his daughter that's going to create Moab, and we're going to have ourselves the story of Yehudah and Tamar. Again, these are interesting stories where things don't seem as clear and the lineage doesn't seem as pure, but then HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, no, that's the one I want. Even David HaMelech himself, his particular birth, everybody thought that all the sons of Yishai, this was, they incorrectly thought he might have been more illegitimate until Shmuel comes along and sees every one of his older brothers and says, no, that's not the one, that's the one. Where's the missing kid? I know there's one more somewhere. Oh, that gingy kid, that redhead, that David HaMelech. He's the one that's supposed to be Mashiach. Even Mashiach himself is going to come from means and places we don't realize. Actually, the Midrash asked the question. He says, the Midrash says, Matzati et David Avdi, I found David, my servant. So ask the Midrash, Hechan, where did you find David HaMelech? Says the Midrash, Bistom. I found David HaMelech in Sedom, and the hidden meaning is I found him in Sedom. Sedom is that city of such evil, the anti-chesed people. It's the city where you had one little spark. We don't know Lot, good, bad. And he had these daughters that actually had kavanot l'shem shamayim, but there were certain averot l'shem shamayim taking place. It's a very weird way that creates Moab, which is going to create Ruth, which is going to create David HaMelech ultimately. Do you know where I found Sedom? Where I found David HaMelech? Where I found Mashiach, the father Mashiach? In the evil city of Sedom. Says Rabbi Tatz, now unbelievable. If we go to the actual pasuk, when those angels came to Sodom to destroy Sodom, so we have that one Lot sitting by the Shar Sodom, Vayar Lot Vayakom Likvatam, and Lot sees them coming in Parashat Vayera, and he runs up to them and he tells them, please guys, please do me a favor, come to my house, sleep by me, wash your feet, I'll take care of you, come stay by me. And they say, no, we're okay, we'll sleep on the street over here, we don't need anything. But then he says, he says, no, please, you gotta come. Vayasu Elav, and they come to Lot's house. Vayavo el beito, they come to his house. Vayas lehem mishte umatzot afa vayochelu, and he made for them a nice meal, and he baked matzahs for them, and they ate. And Chazal note, what's the whole concept of the matzahs? What are they making matzahs for? So they tell us, you know why they're making matzahs? Says Rashi, Pesach haya. It was Pesach, and we have all these beautiful midrashim and these Hasidic ideas even later on, that there's like this, that the original Pesach is taking place now with Lot, or one of the original Pesachs is taking place. We had other Pesach themes with Avraham and Sarah when they went down to Egypt that first time. But we have this idea that, there's certain spiritual energies in the world. We have the energy of Pesach. And part of what's taking place right now, there's going to be a darkness. He's going to blind the Sodomites so that Lot can escape with his family. We're going to have a Yetziat Mitzrayim. We're going to have a Yetziat Sodom. Sodom is compared to Mitzrayim according to the Pesukim as well. So we have like this mini Geula energy of Lot leaving, and that's symbolized right now that he's making matzahs, that we're going to have the Geula taking place. We're going to have ourselves the redemption of Lot and his family, which is really the redemption of the great grandfather of the Mashiach, is taking place right now in these hidden kind of means. But he says the matzah and the Pesach, that's the more open, because we're going to see in the end they're going to be safe, and ultimately we know what's going to come out in the future. So we see this great light. But he notices another word. It says Vayas lehem mishteh umatzot afa. He was making for them a mishteh. Now he says, Rabbi Tatz, mishteh is the language of Purim. Purim is all about the mishteh. It's those big wine parties of Achashverosh and Esther. Today we have the mitzvah to make a mishteh on Purim day. So the idea of Purim is the mishteh. He says our pasuk now is hinting to Purim, that right now we're having a mixing of Purim and Pesach, because part of the Geulahs is going to have this great light, like leaving Egypt, and the part of the Geulahs is going to come in the darkness, the slavery that took place before Egypt. The whole story of Purim is finding HaKadosh Baruch Hu in that darkness. And we don't see Hashem's name in the Megillah, the famous Dvar Torah. It's all hidden. It's all nahafochus. It's all the biggest darkness, which at the very, very end becomes the greatest light. And that, the greater the darkness, the greater the light was, the greater the redemption, the greater the Geullah that takes place by flipping. Haman's decrees themselves are going to become the decrees that let us kill Amalek. If there was no decrees, then it wouldn't have been as bad. But the decree itself turns it into the actual Geulah itself. And that's the whole story of Purim. He says Purim is all about this the darkness that becomes the light. He says, we have a kimu v'kiblu. We have this acceptance of the Torah at Matan Torah, Na'aseh b'nishma, and we have the kimu v'kiblu on Purim. The Matan Torah was in the greater light, the greater miracles of Har Sinai, while Purim is the acceptance of HaKadosh Baruch Hu more in that darkness. Believing in Mordechai and Esther when they're saying that we have to do tshuva, that we have to fast on Pesach. On that year, they fasted Pesach of that first year in the Purim story. There's really a concept of emunah even in those dark times. So it says, right, that's beautifully over here. We have two aspects of Geula, the Purim hidden part, and the open light of the Pesach miracle, and the pasuk over here by Lot puts those two together, because that's going to be how the ketz is going to work. We're not going to know when it's going to happen. We're not going to understand when it's going to happen, but then all of a sudden it's going to happen. It's going to be the Purim miracle that's going to turn into the light of Pesach. So B'ezrat Hashem, I think on Purim Day this year, if we understand this idea, we can now really connect the miracle of Purim, the Geula of Purim, to the Geula of Pesach, and pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that let's get out of this darkness of the Galut that we're in right now, and let's get to that full open miracle and really have that redemption like the days of Pesach and Purim. Chag Sameach.